Hello everyone. Welcome to the Stampin' Studio. I'm Jeannie Scioli coming to you from Ladera Ranch, California. Today I would like to share a couple of really fun projects that we created during our mystery stamping event this morning. This is my way of thanking customers for their orders and my team for just being awesome. Anyone that places a $50 merchandise order with me during the month is invited to attend the online event for free. I send out all the paper products and embellishments needed to complete 2 projects, and no one knows what the final project will look like until they follow the clue. It's so much fun. Let me show you the cards, and then we'll go ahead and put them together. We're making one for fall and one for the holidays. You can find all of the products used and the measurements you'll need to complete the projects over on my Stampwithjeanne.com website. If you, you don't need to worry about writing these measurements down now. And while you're on the site, be sure to sign up for my mailing list so you receive all the latest and greatest news about Stampin' Up, specials, and my upcoming events. We have so much fun stamping together throughout the month and would love to have you join us. You can also find me on my Stamp with Jeannie Facebook page every week at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Time for Motivation Monday, where I share a fun project or 2, tips and tricks. So let's get started. Okay, first you're going to need a piece of crumb cake that is 5.5 by 8.5. You're going to fold that in half and then run your bone folder right along that edge to get a nice crisp fold. Next, I have a 4 by 5.25 piece of the crumb cake that I have embossed with the Pine Wood Planks embossing folder. I have a piece of Pretty Peacock cardstock that is 2 by 4, and I'm just going to glue that to the front of that embossed piece about a 1/2 inch from the left-hand side from top to bottom. Now if there's any excess, I have just a tiny bit on the edge here, so I'm going to trim that off, and then I'll be ready to glue that to the front of my card as soon as it's decorated. Okay, so we have lots of pieces here. We have a thanks that we die cut out using the well-written dies. We have 3 pieces circles that are 1.5 inches, and these are out of the Mango Melody. We have 3 pieces of pumpkin pie large ovals, and then I used the gathered leaves dies to create these awesome leaves out of Cajun Craze, crushed curry, and old olive. I love this die set because the leaves do the embossing and the cutting at the exact same time. So super simple and so pretty. Hopefully you can see the texture on these leaves. Really brings those die cuts up a notch. Then I have 2 crumb cake pieces that are cut using the sprig punch, and then I have a leaf punch that is also old olive, and then we have 2 stems from the apple punch out of early espresso early espresso cardstock. So let's go ahead and glue these all together. Okay, and I'm going to use the multi-purpose adhesive for these. And the first thing I'm going to do is just add a little glob here. Let me get that off. Okay, just add a little glue to that and put this to the left at the top. And once again, this is down a little bit, almost a half of an inch. Then I have the crushed curry leaf that I'm going to put down below that. And the Cajun Craves leaf. It is going to go down below that one. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and glue this crushed curry leaf to the right side of that pretty peacock strip. Have another one of the old olive leaves. Put that right down there. And one more Cajun Craze. That we're going to go ahead and glue right in the center here. Okay, let's set that aside for a minute. Oh, actually, let's go ahead and put our sprigs on, sprig leaves. And I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on each one of these petals. Now notice I didn't put any up at the top because I like this to be kind of free-flowing. And we're just going to glue one right here, kind of going to the left. And then we're going to take this one going to the right. There we go. Now let's go ahead and put together our pumpkins. And for this, I'm going to use Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'm just going to put some dimensionals on either side of one of the ovals. Go ahead and get those off. And someone asked me why I put lines on my Stampin' Dimensionals. This is to help me know right away which one I haven't peeled off yet. Sometimes if you don't have those lines, they can blend together, and you have to kind of use the Braille method to figure out which ones still have the backing on them. So now I'm going to take this oval that we have the Stampin' Dimensionals on, and I'm going to put it on top of this, and it's about 3/8 of an inch from the side. And I have lowered it just slightly, so hopefully you can see that that is just below, so we can make our little pumpkin here. Right. Then we have one of the apple stems, and I'm going to have this stem kind of leaning to the left. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the end here. And I'm going to slide that under the front piece and then just push it down so it sticks there. Okay, let's go ahead and do our mango pieces. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put a Stampin' Dimensional on either side. And I'm going to glue that once again, leaving a little bit of a border on the side, and I'm bringing that down just slightly. So now we have our little fat pumpkin here. And this time I'm going to take the stem and I am going to have it leaning towards the right. The other one was to the left, and this one's to the right. I'm going to stick that under there, just push down, and we have our two pumpkins. Okay, we have our tri-leaf, and this is a retired leaf, but we have so many die cuts that have leaves that are similar to this that I'm sure if you don't already have one in your stamping collection, you'll be able to order something that's very, very similar if you want to duplicate this card. So now I'm just going to glue this piece onto the back of that pumpkin by just adding some adhesive to the stem and pushing this down. Now these are overlapped in the back if you had a question about that, so they do overlap in the back. And I'm just going to put this right here. I'm going to see if I can bring that leaf over the top though. There we go. Let's just lean that way a little bit. And so we now have our, we actually want that to go to the left a bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and do it just like that. Leaning to the left. Okay, so now I can go ahead and put adhesive on the back of this pumpkin, and I'm going to place that up just a little bit, so this is going to probably be about a 1/2 inch from the bottom. And then let's go ahead and put adhesive on the back of the smaller pumpkin. I'm going to hit some of those leaves, and I am going to put a little dab of the liquid adhesive on the back of those leaves, and then this one's going to go right down here. So just a little bit lower and right down there. Okay. Then we have the thanks that we die cut out earlier, and I used our adhesive sheets to add the adhesive before I die cut this thanks out. Makes it so much easier to glue these on when they're real thin pieces like this. And I'm just going to add that thanks right over the top of those leaves. Now I'm going to use Stamping Dimensionals to add this to the front of my card. Just pop that up just a little bit, adds a little more interest. Going to make sure that our card opens in the right direction. And let's go ahead and just put that right in the center there. There we go. This looks great the way it is, but I love to add a little sparkle to my cards. So I am going to use the gold gilded gems. And I'm going to add one of the large ones up here. One of the medium ones right next to there. And let's add one of the small ones right down here on the side. And like I said, that just adds a little bit of sparkle to the card and just finishes it off perfectly. So there is our first card. So cute. All right, let's move on to our holiday card, our little joy card here. So, so cute. I just love this card. I've had this sitting on my desk for about a week, and he has just made me smile all week. So I hope he makes you smile as well. So we're going to start with a piece of 5.5 by 8.5 Whisper White cardstock. And this is the thick cardstock. And because it is thick, I do a scored line at 4 1/4. So it breaks up some of the fibers and you get a nice smooth edge when you fold the card. If you don't do the scoring prior to, you can get some cracking along the edge. So just go ahead and score that first. I have a piece of 3 3/16 by 5 1/16 balmy blue that I have embossed with the Winter Snow embossing folder. And I'm going to glue that to a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of real red cardstock. So I'm just going to put that right in the center. Now I have a piece of 3 by 4 1/4 real red cardstock, and I am going to glue that on the front at an angle here, just like that. I have a piece of that is 3 by 4, and this is the beautiful Snowflake Splendor Designer Series paper. It is just gorgeous. Every sheet is so pretty. So you could use this side or you could use this side. There's so many patterns that you could use that would work for this card. It's hard to choose a favorite sometimes. So I'm going to mount this onto a 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 piece of Whisper white cardstock. I'm going to flip that over because it really cut better on this side. There we go. And I'm going to take this one and I am going to put it onto the front of our card in the opposite direction. Just like that. Now we have these fun trees that were cut from the In the Woods dies, and this is just a great die set that gives you a nice variety of tree and leaf images. This is great for creating a snow line down at the bottom, some trees without their leaves that would look really pretty next to the nice little full tree as well. So this is In the Woods. And so I cut out 2 of these, and I kind of like to fluff up the pieces that have been cut in the middle of the tree, just to give this a little bit more dimension. So I just kind of roll those forward a little bit, and I'll do the same with this one. So as you can see, I'm just kind of rolling those forward and puffing that tree up a little bit. Love this die. My goodness, it's so much fun. Okay, so that's nice and fluffy. So I'm going to grab my silicone craft sheet. This is great for anytime you're using adhesive. It keeps your surface nice and clean. So hopefully you can see that I am going to just put adhesive in some of the areas that don't have the little cutouts. I'm just going to add glue here and there, trying to leave those pieces that I could fluff forward open. There we go. And now I can just take this tree and glue this onto the front of my card right here. I want it to go straight. There we go. Right there. Now I can, when this dries a little bit, I can go back with my poker tool and just kind of lift these leaves up a little bit. So let me go ahead and do that. I want those to be forward, fluffed up a bit. I'm just going to take this and just use that to pull those little branches forward, puff up that tree. There we go. So hopefully you can see that dimension there. Let me puff these up a little bit if I can. There we go. And one more. All right. So we have that tree. Now I'm going to take the second tree and do the same thing. Making sure that there's some glue there. And I'm going to go ahead and put that one in the front right here. Hold that down a little bit. Now if you wanted to, you could use stamping dimensionals to pop that second tree up a little bit. Matter of fact, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to take some of our mini dimensionals, and I'm just going to add a few of those here and there. Let's puff this tree up. All right. These backings off. All right, now let's go ahead. Yes, I like that much better to have that tree popped up. Okay. So now you have your snowflakes, and I cut this using the, here, let me put it on here so you can see it better. I cut this using the Christmas layers dies. So fun layers, great branches, snowflakes, everything. I love this because I can get a variety of snowflake sizes just by cutting out one piece. And so now I'm going to go ahead and trim this off to create 3 individual snowflakes. We have this nice big snowflake here. That little clip right there. There we go. So we have a nice big one. And once again, I ran this through with our adhesive sheet. So it made it a nice little sticker. So that will stick down really well for me. Okay, now I want a smaller, I'll use the one that we cut over here. This one looks pretty good. I have to just clip that little edge right there. Okay, let me go ahead and pull the backing off. And we'll put that one right up here. There we go. And then we need one more. And I think I'm going to go for this one right here in the middle. So once again, I'm just going to clip off the snowflake to continue the pattern. And as you can see, I have a couple more snowflakes that I could use if I wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and just go with these 3s. I like to put things in an odd number. And so we'll put that one right there. Okay, and I can set those snowflakes aside for later, for another project. Okay, now we have our tree punch that we cut out of the red glitter paper. And I am just going to trim this to give it a little bit of an angle. I don't want that tree to go straight across. I wanted a little bit of an angle. And then I have a small balloon that I punched out of Blush Blossom cardstock. And I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive at the top of that balloon here, which I guess is really the bottom of the balloon. And we are going to just put that right in the center below the tree. Just like that. Okay. Then I have this piece that I cut out using the sunflower dies. This actually coordinates with one of our sunflower stamps. And so I just used this piece right here. And I'm going to trim off just a little bit of that, kind of round that off a little bit. And we'll go ahead and add adhesive down here at the bottom. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue that right onto there to give you our little gnome's beard. There we go. And then we have our perennial flower punch that I'm going to put adhesive just in the center here. And we're going to make that his little shoes. Let's just glue that onto there. Perfect. And now he's got his little shoes. I think I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive on the back of this balloon now and glue that down so that stays better too. All right. So let's put him on Stampin' Dimensionals. But before I do that, what I want to do is I want to add his smile. So I'm just going to use one of our black Stampin' Write markers. And I'm just going to add a little smile over here. That guy just makes me happy. Isn't it just the cutest? Okay, let's add some Stampin' Dimensionals on the back here. I'm just trying to help glue all those pieces together. I'm putting more dimensionals than I probably need, but that, like I said, will help keep some of those pieces together for us. Those backings off. And let's go ahead and glue him right to the front of the card, next to those trees. Perfect. And then I have a joy sentiment that came out of the joy dies. Once again, I ran that through with the adhesive on the back. When it's a thin piece like this, it's so nice to already have the adhesive on it and not try to worry about getting that glue. So I'm just going to slip the joy back here. Perfect. We can flip this over, add some adhesive, put it onto the front of our white card base, making sure that the card is opening in the right direction. You don't want to do all this work and then realize that you glued it upside down. And there you have it, a really fun holiday card. So let's bring back there's our fall card and our holiday card